Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshamam Krishna 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 Hahimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Hahimam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarane Oma Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Avastang Gatopi Va Yatsmaret Pundarik Akshang Sabhaya Abhyantara Shuchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Om Agyana Timarandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukhaṁ Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lang Hayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Gurung Dinataranam Yat Kripatamaham Vande Parama Ananda Madhavam taror iva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama iva kevalam Klo nastyeva nastyeva gatir anyata Tatra kirtayato viprashya bhuri tejasa Aham jadyagamam tatra nivishtastad anugrahat Soham va sravayasyami yataditang yatamati. So, last week we finished up the Shalva episode. Pradyumna returned to the battlefield and then continued fighting. And then Krishna arrived from Hastinapur along with Balaram, and Krishna took care of Shalva, ultimately by using his Sudarshan Chakra. So there's a few more things that we have to discuss before we go to the next section. So this is going to be just a few more items and then a summary. So this episode is entitled Krishna Kills Dantavakra. After the demise of Shishupal, Shalva and Paundraka, a foolish demoniac king of the name Dantavakra wanted to kill Krishna in order to avenge the death of his friend Shalva. When Dantavakra appeared before Lord Krishna, he was extremely angry. Dantavakra became so agitated that he appeared on the battlefield without the proper arms and ammunition and without even a chariot. In fact, Dantavakra's only weapon was his great anger, which was red hot. Dantavakra did, however, carry a club in his hand, and Dantavakra was so powerful that when he moved, everyone felt the earth tremble. When Lord Krishna saw Dantavakra approaching in a very heroic mood, Krishna immediately got down from his chariot, for it was a rule of military etiquette that fighting should take place only between equals. Knowing that Dantavakra was alone and armed only with a club, Lord Krishna responded similarly, preparing himself by taking his own Kaumodaki club in his hand. When Krishna appeared before him, Dantavakra's heroic march was immediately stopped, just as the great furious waves of the ocean are stopped by the beach. At that time, Dantavakra, who was the king of Karusha, stood up firmly with his club and spoke to Lord Krishna as follows. O Krishna, it is a great pleasure and fortunate opportunity that we are seeing each other face to face. My dear Krishna, you are, after all, my maternal cousin, and I should not kill you in this way, but unfortunately, you have committed a great mistake by killing my friend Shalva. And moreover, you are not satisfied by killing my friend, for I know that you want to kill me also. So because of your determination, I must now kill you by tearing you to pieces with my club. Now, Krishna, although you are my relative, you are foolish. Why, you are indeed our greatest enemy. So I must kill you today, just as a person removes a boil on one's body by a surgical operation. I am always very much obliged to my friends, and I therefore consider myself indebted to my dear friend Shalva. And so today I can liquidate my indebtedness to Shalva only by killing you. Just as the caretaker of an elephant tries to control the animal by striking it with his trident, Dantavakra tried to control Krishna simply by speaking strong words. After finishing his rancorous vituperation, his expression of bitter, deep-seated anger and ill will, Dantavakra struck Krishna on the head with his club and then made a roaring sound like a lion. But Krishna, although struck strongly by the club of Dantavakra, did not move even an inch, and nor did Krishna feel any pain. Taking his Kaumodaki club and moving very skillfully, Krishna struck Dantavakra's chest so fiercely that Dantavakra's heart split in twain. As a result, Dantavakra began vomiting blood. His hair scattered, and Dantavakra fell to the ground, spreading his hands and legs. Within only a few minutes, all that remained of Dantavakra was a dead body on the ground. Jai Sri Krishna! Jai Sri Krishna! Jai Sri Krishna! But after the death of Dantavakra, just as at the time of Shishupal's death, in the presence of all the persons standing there, a small particle of spiritual effulgence came out of the demon's body and very wonderfully merged into the body of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The next episode is entitled Vidurata. Dantavakra had a brother named Vidurata, who was overwhelmed with grief at Dantavakra's death. Out of grief and anger, Vidurata was breathing very heavily, and just to avenge the death of his brother, Vidurata also appeared before Lord Krishna with sword and shield in his hands. Vidurata wanted to kill Krishna immediately. So when Lord Krishna understood that Vidurata was looking for the opportunity to strike him with his sword, Krishna employed his Sudarshana Chakra, Krishna's razor-sharp disc, and without delay cut off Vidurata's head along with its helmet and earrings. Then, after killing Vidurata, Krishna crossed the Yamuna and went to the cowherder village of Nanda, where Krishna honored and consoled his aggrieved parents. They drenched Krishna with tears and embraced Krishna. And then Krishna offered obeisances to the elder cowherder men and gratified all the residents with abundant gifts of clothing, ornaments, and so on. Lord Keshava sported continuously with the cowherder women on the Kalindi's charming bank, which was filled with pious trees. Thus the Supreme Lord, assuming the appearance of a cowherder boy, resided there in Braja for 2 months, enjoying the pleasure of intimate pastimes in various moods of loving reciprocation. Then, by Lord Vasudeva's grace, Nanda and all the other residents of that place, along with their children and wives, assumed their eternal spiritual forms. They boarded a celestial airplane and ascended to the supreme Vaikuntha planet known as Goloka Vrindavan. Lord Krishna, however, after bestowing on Nandagopa and all the other inhabitants of Braja his own transcendental abode, which is free from all disease, Krishna traveled through the sky and returned to Dwaraka as demigods chanted his praises. So, in chronology, here is a summary of recent events here that we have studied in Krishna book. First was the journey on the occasion of the solar eclipse. Then the Rajasuya assembly. Then the gambling match and attempted disrobing of Draupadi. Then the Pandavas exiled to the forest. Then the killing of Shalva and Dantavakra. And then Krishna's visit to Vrindavan. And finally the winding up of Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes as he returned to Dwaraka. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this episode is entitled, Krishna Triumphantly Returns to Dwaraka. In this way, after killing Shalva and destroying Shalva's wonderful airplane, and then killing Dantavakra and Vidurata, Lord Krishna at last entered his city, Dwaraka. It would not have been possible for anyone but Krishna to kill these great heroes, and therefore all the demigods from heaven and the human beings on the surface of the globe were all glorifying Krishna. Great sages and ascetics, the denizens of the Siddha and Gandharva planets, the denizens known as Vidyadharas, and the serpent Vasuki, and the Mahanagas, as well as the beautiful angels, the inhabitants of Pitriloka, the Yakshas, the Kinnaras, and the Charanas. All of these personalities showered flowers upon Krishna and sang songs of Krishna's victory out of great jubilation. Decorating the entire city very festively, the citizens of Dwaraka held a great celebration. And when Lord Krishna passed through the city, all the members of the Vrishni dynasty and the heroes of the Yadu dynasty followed Krishna with great respect. These are some of the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, the master of all mystic power and Lord of all cosmic manifestations. Those who are fools, who are like animals, sometimes think that Krishna can be defeated. But factually, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and no one can defeat Krishna. Krishna always remains victorious over everyone. Therefore, Krishna is the only one full-fledged, 100% Godhead himself, and all other personalities are Krishna's subservient order carriers. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there are two more things that I want to read tonight. And these next two sections appear in the 7th canto. The 7th canto is more or less a conversation, at least one half of, the entire chapter is a conversation between Yudhishthira and Narada Muni at the time of the killing of Shishupal. So right away, what I'm going to read from the 7th canto ties into what we studied previously about Shishupal and today Dantavakra. So there are two sections, and this all took place when Yudhishthira was there and Krishna decapitated Shishupal at the Rajasuya sacrifice. And so there was a conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira. You will find these two sections very instructive in terms of our last couple of chapters that we studied. King Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, being everyone's well-wisher, is equal and extremely dear to everyone. How then did Vishnu become partial, like a common man, for the sake of Indra, and thus kill Indra's enemies? How can a person equal to everyone be partial to some and inimical towards others? So, the reference here, the reason why Parikshit is asking this, is because in the previous 6th canto, Parikshit heard the story of how Krishna acted on behalf of Indra in terms of killing one Vitra Asura. So that's why he's asking this. Parikshit continues. Lord Vishnu himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reservoir of all pleasure. Therefore, what benefit would Vishnu derive from siding with the demigods? What interest would Vishnu fulfill in this way? Since God is transcendental, why should Vishnu fear the Asuras? And how could Vishnu be envious of the demons? So now, whether Narayan is partial or impartial has become a subject of great doubt. O Gurudev, kindly dispel my doubt with positive evidence that Narayana is always neutral and equal to everyone. The great sage Shukadeva Goswami replied, My dear king, you have put before me an excellent question. Discourses concerning the activities of Krishna, in which the glories of his devotees are also found, are extremely pleasing to devotees. Such wonderful topics always counteract the miseries of the materialistic way of life. Therefore, great sages like Narada always speak on Srimad Bhagavatam because it gives one the facility to hear and chant about the wonderful activities of Krishna. Let me offer respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva and then begin describing topics concerning the activities of Lord Hari. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is always transcendental to the material qualities, and therefore he is called Nirguna, or without material qualities. And because Krishna is unborn, Krishna does not have a material body to be subjected to attachment and hatred. Although Krishna is always above material existence, through his spiritual potency, Krishna appeared and acted like an ordinary human being, accepting duties and obligations, apparently like a conditioned soul. The material qualities, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna, all belong to the material world and do not even touch Krishna. These three gunas cannot act on Krishna either by increasing or decreasing or even simultaneously. Now, when the quality of goodness is prominent, the sages and demigods flourish with the help of that quality, with which they are infused and surcharged by the Supreme Lord. Similarly, when the mode of passion is prominent, the demons flourish. And when ignorance is prominent, the yakshas and rakshasas flourish. Krishna is present in everyone's heart, fostering the reactions of either Sattva-gun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. The all-pervading personality of Godhead exists within the heart of every living being, and an expert thinker can perceive how Krishna is present there to a large or small extent, just as one can understand the supply of fire in wood, the water in a water pot, or the sky within a pot. One can understand whether a living entity is a demon or a demigod by understanding that living entity's demeanor or conduct. That's very important. I'm going to repeat that. One can understand whether a living entity is a demon or a demigod just by understanding that living entity's demeanor or conduct. Therefore, a thoughtful person can understand how much a person is favored by the Supreme Lord by seeing one's actions. When Krishna creates different types of bodies, offering a particular body to each living entity according to one's character and fruitive actions, Krishna revives all the qualities of material nature, namely Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. Then, as Supersoul, Krishna enters each body and influences the qualities of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, using Sattva-guna for maintenance, Rajoguna for creation, and Tamoguna for annihilation. Krishna, the controller of the material and spiritual energies, who is certainly the creator of the entire cosmos, creates the time factor to allow the material energy and the living entity to act within the limits of time. But Krishna himself is never under the time factor, nor is Krishna under the material energy. This time factor enhances Sattva-gun, or the material mode of goodness. Thus, although Krishna is the controller, Krishna appears to favor the demigods, who are mostly situated in Sattva-guna. Then the demons, who are influenced by Rajo and Tamoguna, are annihilated. Krishna induces the time factor to act in different ways, but Krishna himself is never partial. Rather, Krishna's activities are glorious, and therefore Krishna is called Uru Shravha. Formerly, when Maharaj Yudhisthira was performing the Rajasuya sacrifice, the great sage Narada, responding to his inquiry, recited historical facts showing how Krishna is always impartial, even when killing demons. In this regard, Narada gives a vivid example. For at the Rajasuya sacrifice, Yudhisthira, the son of Maharaj Pandu, personally saw Shishupal merge into the body of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Struck with wonder, therefore, Yudhisthira inquired about the reason for this from the great sage Narada, who was sitting there. And while Yudhisthira inquired, all the sages present also heard Yudhisthira ask this question. O Narada, it is very wonderful that the demon Shishupal merged into the body of Krishna, even though Shishupal was extremely envious. This Sayujya Mukti is impossible to attain even for great transcendentalists. So how then did the enemy of Krishna attain it? O Narada, we are all eager to know the cause for this mercy of Krishna. I have heard that formerly a king named Vena blasphemed Krishna, and that all the Brahmanas consequently obliged Vena to go to hell. So Shishupal should also have been sent to hell. How then did Shishupal merge into the Lord's existence? From the very beginning of his childhood, when he could not even speak properly, Shishupal, the most sinful son of Dhamaghosh, began blaspheming Krishna. And Shishupal continued to be envious of Krishna until his death. Similarly, his brother Dantavakra continued the same habits. Although these two men, Shishupal and Dantavakra, repeatedly blasphemed Krishna, they were quite healthy. Indeed, their tongues were not attacked by white leprosy, nor did they enter the darkest region of hellish life. So we are certainly most surprised by this. So Narada, how was it possible for Shishupal and Dantavakra, in the presence of many exalted persons, to enter very easily into the body of Krishna, whose spiritual nature is difficult to attain? This matter is undoubtedly very wonderful. Indeed, my intelligence has become disturbed, just as the flame of a candle is disturbed by a blowing wind. O Narada Muni, you know everything. Kindly let me know the cause of this wonderful event. Shukadeva Goswami replied, after hearing the request of Maharaj Yudhisthira, Narada Muni, the most powerful spiritual master, who knew everything, became very pleased. Thus Narada replied in the presence of everyone taking part in the yajna. O King Yudhisthira, blasphemy and praise, chastisement and respect are experienced because of ignorance. The body of the conditioned soul is planned by Krishna for suffering in the material world through the agency of external energy. The conditioned soul, being in the bodily conception of life, considers one's body to be oneself, and considers everything in relationship with the body to be one's property. Because one has this wrong conception of life, one is subjected to dualities like praise and chastisement. Because of the bodily conception of life, the conditioned soul thinks that when the body is annihilated, the living being itself is annihilated. Krishna is the supreme controller, the supersoul of all living entities. Because Krishna has no material body, Krishna has no false conception of I and mine. It is therefore incorrect to think that Krishna feels pleasure or pain when blasphemed or offered prayers. This is impossible for Krishna. Thus, Krishna has no enemy and no friend. When Krishna chastises the demons, it is for their good. I'll repeat. When Krishna chastises the demons, it is for their good. And when Krishna accepts the prayers of the devotees, it is for their good. Krishna is affected neither by prayers nor by blasphemy. Therefore, O Yudhisthira, either by enmity or by devotional service, or by fear, by affection, or even by lusty desire, by even one of them or all of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates one's mind upon Krishna, the result is the same for Krishna. Because of Krishna's blissful position, Krishna is never affected by enmity or friendship. By devotional service, one cannot achieve such intense absorption in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity towards Krishna. That is my opinion. Just as a grass worm confined in a hole of a wall by a bee always thinks of the bee in fear and enmity, and then later becomes a bee simply because of such remembrance. So similarly, if the conditioned souls somehow or other think of Krishna, who is Sachit Ananda Vigraha, they will become free from their sins, whether thinking of Krishna as their worshipful Lord or an enemy. Because of constantly thinking of Krishna, they will regain their spiritual bodies. Many persons have attained liberation simply by thinking of Krishna with great attention and giving up sinful activities. This great attention may be due to lusty desires, inimical feelings, fear, affection, or devotional service. I shall now explain how one receives Krishna's mercy simply by concentrating one's mind upon Krishna. The gopis, by their lusty desires, Kamsa by his fear, Shishupal and other kings by their envy, the Yadus by their familial relationship with Krishna, you Pandavas by your great affection for Krishna, and we general devotees by our devotional service have attained the mercy of Krishna. O Yudhisthira, somehow or other, one must consider the form of Krishna very seriously. Then, by one of the 5 different processes mentioned above, one can return. Then, by one of the 5 different processes mentioned above, one can return home back to Godhead. Atheists like King Vena, however, being unable to think of Krishna's form in any of these 5 ways, cannot attain salvation. Therefore, one must certainly somehow think of Krishna, whether in a friendly way or inimically. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'd like to do just one more section, if that's okay. We have time. One more section. So this is from the same section. Narada Muni is instructing Yudhishthira, explaining how Krishna is equal to both the demigods and demons. So he's going to finish up now. Narada Muni continues. O Yudhishthira, O best of the Pandavas, your 2 cousins, Shishupal and Dantabhakra, the sons of your maternal aunt, were formerly associates of Lord Vishnu, but because they were cursed by Brahmanas, they fell from Vaikuntha to this material world. The history was that once upon a time, when the 4 sons of Lord Brahma, named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar, were wandering throughout the 3 worlds, by chance they came to Vishnu Loka. Although these 4 great sages were older than Brahma's other sons like Marichi, they appeared like small naked children, only 5 or 6 years old. When Jai and Vijay saw them trying to enter Vaikuntha Loka, these 2 gatekeepers, thinking them ordinary children, forbade them to enter. Thus, checked by the doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, the 4 Kumaras very angrily cursed Jai and Vijay. You 2 foolish doorkeepers, being agitated by the material qualities of passion and ignorance, you are unfit to live at the shelter of Lord Madhudvisha's lotus feet, which are free from such modes. It would be better for you to go down immediately to the material world and take your birth in a family of most sinful asuras. While Jai and Vijay were thus cursed by the sages, when they were falling to the material world, they were addressed as followed by the 4 Kumaras who were kind to them. O doorkeepers, after 3 births, you will be able to return to your positions in Vaikuntha, for then the duration of the curse will have ended. These 2 associates of the Lord, Jai and Vijay, later descended to the material world, taking birth as the original demons or 2 sons of Diti, namely Hiranyakashipu, the eldest, and Hiranyaksha, the younger. They were very much respected by the Daitya and Danava demoniac species. Appearing as Nrsingadev, Sri Hari killed Hiranyakashipu. Later, when Krishna delivered the planet Earth, which had fallen in the Garbhodaka ocean, Hiranyaksha tried to hinder him, and then Krishna as Varaha killed Hiranyaksha in his form as a boar. desiring to kill his own son, who was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu tortured Prahlad in many ways. Krishna, the super soul of all living entities, is sober, peaceful, and equal to everyone. Since the great devotee Prahlad was protected by Krishna's potency, Hiranyakashipu was unable to kill Prahlad, in spite of endeavoring to do so in various ways. Thereafter, the same Jai and Vijay, the two doorkeepers of Lord Vishnu, then took birth as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, begotten by Vishrava in the womb of Keshani, and they were extremely troublesome to all the people of the universe. So just to relieve Jai and Vijay of the Brahmana's curse, Ramachandra appeared in order to kill Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And in their third birth, the same Jai and Vijay appeared in a family of Kshatriyas as your cousins, Yudhishthir, the sons of your aunt. Because Lord Krishna had struck them with his Sudarshana Chakra, all their sinful reactions had become destroyed, and now they are freed from the curse. These two associates of Lord Vishnu, Jai and Vijay, maintained a feeling of enmity for a very long time. Because of always thinking of Krishna in this way, they regained the shelter of the Lord, having returned home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahlada Klada Dayane, Hiranya Kashi Purvakshaha, Shilatanka Nakalae, Ito Nasinga Parato Nasinga, Yato Yato Yamitato Nasingha, Bahir Nasringo, Hridaye Nasringo, Nasringham Adin Sharanam Prapadye, Nasringham Adin Sharanam Prapadye, Tavakara Kamala Varei Nakam Adbhuta Sringam, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam, Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Keshavadrita Nrsimha Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Om Tat Sat.